Hey everybody, Dave here, Hidden Freedom, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to talk about the reasons why I don't invest over $1.5 million into VOO, but you probably should. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Let's not waste any time, and let's dig right in. Alright, well, let me tell you the reasons why I don't invest into VOO, but you probably should. So, if we go to current portfolio here, we scroll down, you'll see that I have over 3,000 shares of SPY down here. I do have some VOO. Okay, now that VOO is in a separate account. It is actually in an HSA where I don't even have the option to do options. So that is the reason why I'm not invested in SPY in that account. But down here, line 27, you can see them investing over $1.469 million into SPY and not into VOO. All right, now I do like VOO, and if I was not in SPY, I would be in VOO. So if we go over here, look at the expense ratios, and let's go to a little more official spot for those. So if we go here to Schwab and look at the expense ratios, we scroll down here. Right now I'm on SPY. So if we scroll down here and we look at the expense ratio, we've got 0.09% for SPY. And if we scroll up here, let's see, we got VOO. If we scroll down here on VOO, we can see that the expense ratio is 0.03%. So technically, it is actually going to be cheaper to own VOO. And that is one of the main reasons why VOO is highly recommended for an ETF for most people. With one exception. So as far as the holdings are concerned, it's really basically the same ETF. Top holdings 508 there, and I think SPY had 504. So if we scroll down here, we had 504. So for all intents and purposes, they're literally the same thing. They're tracking the same index. Obviously, you know, a different company puts them out. But in general the same. They might actually reconstitute and or rebalance at different times of the year. But in general, they pretty much perform very, very similar to each other, and it's really a non-event when it comes to how they perform. So that's not really the reason why I'm not invested in VOO, and the whole reason why I'm investing over 3,085 shares into SPY. Now that is spread across a couple different accounts here. So I got a brokerage account there, I got a solo 401k there, and I got an IRA there. And so SPY is pretty much broken out across all three of those counts. So we got SPY right there over 1,400 shares. Over here we have over 519 shares. And then over here we got over 1,100 shares. And then, you know, down over here I got some other information about all those ETFs. The reason why I do not invest into VOO, but you probably should, or at least I'd say at least probably 90 to 95% of the folks out there should just invest into VOO, is number one, is because it's cheaper to own. It's normally pretty much always offered in some account as well. Almost every account should offer that, with the exception of maybe a 401k. However, that said, the 401k normally always has a S&P 500, some sort of S&P 500 index or the equivalent ETF in there. It may not be VOO. They might not even tell you what the ticker is. A lot of the times they don't even tell you what the ticker is. Sometimes you have to dig in the prospects or something like that to actually dig out to find out what the ticker actually is. Most every single 401k or retirement account that I've seen, you've always had the option. There's always been an option to invest in an S&P 500 type fund or mutual fund or ETF. All right, let's move on here. If we go over to my Schwab account, and this is the only reason why I'm invested into SPY, because I've had a couple people question why I'm in SPY. Well, this is going to answer a question, right? And probably anybody future watching this video will answer your question too. Right here is the reason why. I trade options against those SPY shares. Okay, so I have over 3,000 shares. Technically, I can do 30 contracts. However, if there's any odd numbers in there or something like that. So in this count here, I got 1,447 shares. I can only do 14 contracts in that particular account. Over here, I have 500 shares. I can do 5 contracts. If we scroll over to the right over here, I got 1,100 shares, over 1,100 shares in my IRA. I can do 11 contracts in that account. Now, what I'm talking about here, at this time, I'm just doing covered calls. Okay, so these are all just covered calls here. There's the expiry, or the days to expiration. That's the expiry there. And then I have the strike price, and then C is for calls. And I sold to open those. So I generated over $3,500 that were collected. I'm actually down in those right now because when I sold to open those, the market has gone up a little bit. So I'm actually down over $766 in those right now, but that's okay. Look at these numbers here. Look at these strikes: 495, 490, 492, 488. Okay, right now, if we look at SPY, current price is 476. So those are quite a bit above what the current price is. So I don't feel like SPY is going to get up there by actually, most of those, 2 of these are open to February 16th, and then I have another one a week out to February 23rd. And I'm kind of going to straddling those out, or maybe straddle is not the right word, because considering that is actually an option strategy, I will ladder those out as a better word. If we go over here to my options account here, where I actually separately trade options. This has nothing to do with what I'm talking about per se. I'm only going to use this account to show you the whole reasons why I don't use VOO to trade options. Okay, so I have SPY pulled up right here. If we look at all these expiries I have available to me here, pretty much every single week, if not multiple times during the week, with SPY. Okay, now I try to stick with going out every 45 days or so, and then when 7 days go by, I'll actually pop up another 45-day expiry and then open up another set. So I'm kind of laddering those out about 3 weeks out, and then I will close those down and then open up a whole nother set. And that's just to protect me in case the market moves up or the market moves down. I can take advantage of the increased IV. Okay. So that is the reason why I do that. And if we look here at, let's see here, VOO. Let's pop up VOO here. Look at the amount of expiries you have on VOO. It's pretty much once a month, and that's the normal expiries there. Not to mention, also look here, you have a $5 gap in all of the strikes. So there's little to no is the better way of saying it, liquidity there. I would definitely not trade options against VOO just for those reasons alone. I just don't have a lot of strike options there, and the liquidity is going to be very, very terrible. Going back to SPY here, and you can see that we have dollar strikes pretty much in between every single one there. Maybe when a new expiry comes out, when they release a new expiry in between the normal expiries, it might have a little bit more limitations to it, but within a few days it will all be filled in. You even have a 50-cent strike there. Look at that, 50-cent strike there and a 50-cent strike there. So that's a half, right? 472 and a half. So we're not only just splitting out 42 and 43, we have a 50-cent breakout there, right? So we have a lot of liquidity with our options with SPY. So as I talked about in the previous video, I have over almost about $800,000 in my retirement accounts there, and my goal was to generate a 4% return with just options this year, let alone what the market gives me, and let alone what the actual dividends give me. So that's over $32,000 I plan on getting out of SPY. Just covered calls. Now, if for some reason the market actually went on a run, I would probably just let the shares be taken and then just turn around and probably sell some puts, either right at the money or in the money, or maybe just go down a few strikes. And that would be called the wheel strategy. I don't technically plan on running the wheel, but if that's what ends up happening, then that's what will that I'll probably end up doing. Current price is 475.93. So let's just call it 476. All right. So let's pop up my options there, and then just do 476. 476 divided by, let's do 488 there. So we got to make a 2.5% move there to be called away on those 488 strikes. So we got 476 divided by 495. We got to make basically a 4% move up to call me away on these 495 strikes. And then we got the 490s there. So we got 490, say 476 divided by 490. So roughly almost a 3% move there for the 490s. And then we got 476 divided by 492. Come up with about 3.5%. We'll call it 3.5% there to be called away on the 492. So that's the plan there. I'm being super safe in my actual brokerage account. So this account over here is a brokerage account. I can sell to open 14 contracts there, but I also have to be mindful of getting in trouble, having my shares called away, and then realizing $50,000 of gain. Obviously, if it goes up to 490, 495, the gain's going to be a lot higher than that. But that is the reason why I stagger those out as well. So I'm going to play it super safe in the brokerage account, and then the other two accounts, so the Solar 401k and then the IRA, I don't really care. Those are tax deferred accounts. I don't care whether or not this $2,000 or this $34,000 is realized, because it's not going to hurt me at all tax-wise. But in the brokerage account, it's definitely something I'm concerned about a little bit, so I'll be sure to play it a little bit more carefully in that account. The options is just another way to generate more return and more income, and with no real tax consequences. So for most people, you're not going to trade options. You should just invest into VOO. It's actually cheaper to own, but for me, having it be 3 times the cost and expenses, I can just wipe that out with options income quite easily. I've already generated over $3,500 of income. Now, granted, that's not realized yet, but in a few weeks it will be realized, and we'll go from there. So for everybody, about 90% of you, 95% of you out there, just continue to invest in VOO, and you will be sitting pretty in 10 to 20 years. So if you have any comments, questions, or concern on this video, leave me a comment down below. We'll see you in the next video. Happy investing.